Sunday at Unity. And, you know, it's the season to celebrate the good news of the birth of the Christ. And not just in Jesus, but in you, in me, in everyone. The scriptures say it's our hope of glory. So the more we can be centered in that divinity that dwells within each of us and let it express through us as us, the better off we'll all be. So I'd like to welcome our fearless leader to the podium. She's going to share even more good news today.
Thank you. As most of y'all know, we had two wonderful candidates to apply for a part-time ministerial position. And after going over the evaluations, after counting all the input ballots, we have decided to move forward in hiring Reverend Jesse Herriott as our new part-time minister. And we are so excited about this. I see good things for the future of Unity of Birmingham. This is very exciting. To get everything in place, it'll probably be a week or two into January. And in the meantime, we'll have both Reverend Sanja and Reverend Jesse coming and speaking. We should have things in place, though, by mid-January. So, very, very excited. And congratulations.
Thank you. Great. Good news abounds at Unity and in the world. So, next Sunday, as Jamie said, we're going to have Reverend Sanja Mathis, who we adore and look forward to seeing. Also next Sunday, be ready. At 5 p.m., we've got a very special Christmas party. It's going to start in the lobby with appetizers and desserts, and you're welcome to bring your favorite. And then Arturo is going to offer some soft music out in the lobby, and then we'll have a special treat. We'll have a sing-along with LaDonna Smith, who's a well-known Birmingham-based musician who's also sought after all over the world. And she's going to play piano, but she's virtuoso violinist as well. So let's come and sing together next week, Sunday at 5. That's the 19th. And you might also think about bringing a non-perishable food item or toys. We have a receptacle of a gift wrap box out in the lobby to collect those items to share with people in need in our community. That's being headed up by our Reiki practitioner here, Sunny Graydon. And remember that you can renew your membership online by going to unitybham.org, and you can pick up flyers in the lobby or go to our website to get information on wonderful soul-enriching activities that go on in the church all week long. So now we're going to have some holiday music offered by our beloved long-lost sister, my dear friend, Vanessa Anderson, and some Unity regulars that we adore, Arturo and Rick.
So to honor him, rum bum bum bum, when we little baby, rum bum bum bum. Rum bum bum bum. I have no gift to bring. Rum bum bum bum. That's fit to give a king. Rum bum bum bum. Rum bum bum bum. Rum bum bum bum. Rum bum 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 on my drum. The ox and lamb kept tied. I played my best for him. I played my drum for him. Rum bum bum bum. Rum bum bum bum. Rum bum bum bum. Then he smiled at me. Rum bum bum bum. And my drum.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, just move closer.
Okay.
Yeah, it's on.
We have this one?
Both of them are on.
Both of them on? Okay, good. Let's put this one down. Good morning out there. Good to see everyone. Thank you guys so much. It is a pleasure to be back here this morning. And good morning to everyone out there that's watching online. I know Miss Evelyn is probably the first comment that we have out there. And then while I'm talking, if you notice anybody commenting, please let me know who they are so we can give them a special shout out. Grace and peace be unto you, everybody. Let's do this. Before we get into the message, let's go into a wonderful meditation. All of us need some healing, especially with the holidays. Families have experienced change throughout the year. You may have experienced various changes throughout the year. So I'd like to invite everyone to participate with me on a special meditation this morning. The symbols that you see here, they're just inner healing symbols. You got your Reiki over here to the right, and you got your chakras to the left. And because of our inner spiritual background with unity and new thought, we're going to bring all of this together in light of our third Advent Sunday. So if you will, I'm going to walk over here to the table and light the Advent candles. Get relaxed and centered right where you are. As I light the Advent candles, instead of simply thinking about the principles, I want you to put your mindset on inviting these particular principles into your heart and into your mind space. Can you do that with me this morning? So take a deep breath. Kind of get relaxed. If you want to, warm up your hands, rub your hands together. Place one hand on your heart. You guys can hear me? place one hand on your heart and one hand on your belly. So, the article that I'm reading from is actually from unity.org, and it specifies the Advent season, and it goes into detail the meaning of each candle, and it's a metaphysical interpretation of the holiday season. So I invite you, if you're the curious type, to Google unity.org and then check out what Unity has to say regarding Advent. So as we light this first candle, trying to get this thing going, there you go, representing hope and faith from the first week, take a deep breath and invite hope and faith into your heart. And not just into your heart and into your body, but send that energy out into your family, on your job, and into the community. And in honor of week 2, which we've already experienced, I'm going to light the candle representing peace. Take a deep breath and allow peace, the peace that surpasses all understanding, to relax and wash over you, centering you into your true self, knowing that you don't have to ask or force this power for good that's always ever present with you, in you, as you. In this week of Advent, which is an emphasis on love, we like the pink candle. Knowing that the reason for the season is love this morning. And one of the things that I've learned about love is learning how to leave things better than they found it. And love is best when love is kind. And so invite the principle of loving kindness into your heart space on this morning. Let it wash over you, saturate your body, and now send this energy out into your family. Think of specific loved ones that might be struggling in their love category on this morning. Send that loving energy out to them, and then send it out to your family at large, into the community and into the world, knowing that the stuff that we hear, the gloom and doom, are simply prayer requests from the world, asking us, the sons and daughters of God, to be more loving and to hold them in the light, knowing that while they are walking in what seems to be darkness, that there's a light at the end of the tunnel, and that we can see them as already being free. And when you're ready, come back to the room, and so it is. So, good morning again. It is a blessing to be back with you on this morning, and I am honored that you guys have selected me for the ministerial position for this community. And one of the things that my grandmother told me, that I told you guys when I first met you, is that you make family wherever you go. And it's an honor to be a part of the family here at Unity of Birmingham and the extended family online. Today, what I want to talk to you guys about is a message that's near and dear to my heart, not just because of the holiday season, but because it's a practice I think that we all can incorporate into our lives. And this particular practice requires us to do the work, because as we all know in spiritual practice can get real heady and real philosophical real quick. But good theology and good spiritual practice is spiritual practice that is applied to our lives. A mentor of mine wrote a book called Advice Not Given, Mark Epstein. And if you follow my work, and if you heard me talk, I talk a lot about the connections between the therapy world and spirituality, because a good spiritual practice should be therapeutic. When you leave church on Sunday morning, you shouldn't feel worse. I always say, come as you are, leave better than you came. You know, so whether you have on jeans and a t-shirt, or if you have on weird color hair, earrings in your ear, I would say put your shoes on, because you're not sure, you never know what you might step on. But you come as you are, you live better than you came. But there's a spiritual and psychological change that happens whenever you come together in places like this. They should be open and affirming. And so Mark Epstein went to go see one of his mentors, Ram Dass. And I'm sure you guys have heard of Ram Dass, the wonderful spiritual teacher who, along with so many others who we may not know the names of today, went off into the East in the 50s and the 60s and got this teaching that they called the Dharma, and they brought it back to the West, and that combination of Eastern and Western helped to really change what we know about spirituality in the West, where we get the term mindfulness from. so much these days. He walked over to his teacher, and Mark Epstein was a professional therapist by this time, and his teacher asked him a question. He said, when you sit with your patients, do you see them as already free? And that is something that we talk about in unity a lot and in spiritual practice as a whole. We call it holding the light. Are there anyone, or is there anyone in your life that you are working with right now where that principle applies? And I got to tell you, just to be honest with you, not only do I know people, but I myself, because there are times where we don't feel like we are up to par. And you know what? Folks these days need to hear a message that reminds them that they are okay. I'm a little bit different. I don't believe that people are broken and need to be fixed. But at the same time, we all have things that we need to heal from. And that kind of message, it allows us to honor everybody in all of their differences. If you struggle with anxiety, if you struggle with depression, if you struggle with attachment issues, you're feeling unloved, unworthy, if you're struggling with imposter syndrome, where sometimes you feel like, you know what, am I good enough? Is this song right? Did I practice it enough? Did I rehearse enough? You know, that perfection. There's if you guys remember Peanuts and Charlie Brown, everybody remembers Lucy. And a teacher of mine tells a story about Lucy. And she came up to Charlie one time and she said, you know, Charlie, you know what your problem is? And he was like, what? Your problem is that you're you. And he was like, well, what do I do about that? I don't know. I'm just here to point out the problem. You know, and we all have these inner voices inside of ourselves. The voice of the inner critic that seems to be nagging us all the time and pushing us toward perfection. But what if you could know and rest assured that you're okay? Now, knowing that you're okay doesn't mean there's not work to do. But a part of the journey is recognizing that there's always something to be done. And that you're not alone in the work that you have to do. Because all of us are travelers on this journey that we call life. And all of us are sometimes in need of rest. And so in this message, I wanted to invite you to rest. But not just rest, but rest in yourself. Knowing that, yeah, my works ain't done, but they're not so bad either. The good, the bad, the indifferent, the neutral. Wisdom comes in when we learn to harness the pain, the suffering, and the trauma that we've experienced in life and see it not as gifts from God. God didn't want you to suffer. They're givens. They're things that just happen. You know, God plans, men do. It's a wonderful quote my mom used to tell me. Sometimes things happen. I can't say that God did it, but I can say that I can partner with God to make the best of it. And that kind of awareness, it balances the scales because it allows people like myself, from my background, you know, a kid from a small town, a mom, she's going to beat me up, had me at 16 years old, had 4 kids by the time she was 21, and did the best she could as a single parent, and all of us are doing well now. It allows people like her to be able to stand up and say, hey, my life matters. It allows individuals like myself to say, you know what, we got a fighting chance. I don't have to look like where I came from. It invites everyone. It opens up and it taps you into the Jesus experience to where you don't just see it as a story, but you feel it experientially as a lived reality. I'm an individual who some scholars go back and forth and say, who was his actual father? Some folks say his father was God. When did his mother have him? 12 years old. What? All of this stuff that the Jesus Seminar talks about. But this one man's life or this one principle's life, however you define it, whether you see him as a historical figure, I might be being a little controversial here, or an actual metaphorical figure or a spiritual symbol, we can't deny the life that comes from that particular story. From what we would call harsh environments. They would say stuff like, can anything good come out of Nazareth? Y'all remember that stuff from your Bible studies? Can anything good come from this town? But that life changed the world because it was willing to live and pursue its own nature and go to the depths of its own experience and then share that experience with the world. To where at the end of his life he would say, Father, forgive them for they know not what they do. That kind of freedom, that kind of self-expression, that kind of willingness to open yourself up and say, you know what, this is life. This is life. I'm not exempt from the suffering of life. You know what the Buddha said in his teaching? The Buddha said that life is dukkha, D-U-K-K-H-A. You know what dukkha means? It's the opposite in Sanskrit of sukha, S-U-K-K-H-A. Sukha means pretty face. Dukkha means hard to face. So we misinterpret in the West his teachings as meaning that there's suffering at the core of life. What he was actually saying is that there's some things in life that are just hard to face. But it's built into the construct of life so that if we acknowledge that this stuff exists, we don't have to take it personally. And there are times where you're going to take it personally because it's going to hurt. We all take licks on the chin. But when you come back and you come to community, a community that reminds you that guess what? Regardless of what you're experiencing right now, you're already free. It liberates you instantly. It liberates you instantly. So what does already free mean? It means to see the end from the beginning. So when you're sitting down, Mark Epstein, the person who I mentioned earlier, when he sat with Ram Dass asked him that wonderful question. Ram Dass's background is in psychology. He asked him, do you see your patients as already free? So when someone is sitting in front of you with anxiety and depression, do you see them as already free? And if you can see them as already free, then you can guide them back home. Because all of us are trying to come back home. Where's home? Home is that place and space of belonging that's both in us, with us, as us. It's at home in the world. It's at home in family. And the reason why we do this thing of shaking ourselves and waking up and deciding to come here instead of staying at home and watching football is because we're all searching for belonging. We move in order to be moved. We come here so that we can feel. And then check this out. We're not doing this work so that we can insulate ourselves and just keep it to ourselves, but we're doing it so that we can go back out in the world. It's what makes us, in what they call in the Eastern term, bodhisattvas. You know what a bodhisattva is? It's someone who's not selfish. I'm doing this meditative work for myself. There's a wonderful quote about meditation. We don't meditate to get good at meditation. We meditate to get good at life. We meditate to get good at life. And so that kind of attitude is heart-opening because this experience that I have that is found, the foundation of it is in the life of Jesus. The foundation of it is in the life of all of our wonderful teachers. This experience is bigger than me. I got to tell somebody, which is where our evangelism comes from. You know, the opposite of evangelism is gossip, but it's basically the same thing. You can't keep it to yourself. There's something that's so good, that's so marvelous that you discovered about the nature of the world and the nature of reality, the nature of your own soul. You can't help but tell somebody because you see them not as separate from you. You see them as a part of you. So me and you ain't related, but I just got to tell you, man, you know what? You like you had a rough day, but you know what? It's going to be all right. Man, how you know it's going to be all right? I just know because I've been there too. I haven't experienced that exact same thing, but you know what? I see you in the future, and you look much better than you look right now. That's what already free means. That's when we take the life of our spiritual teachers and the life that we get from the stories and the life that we get from the mythologies, and we actually live it. Is it easy? Heaven, no. And I'm in purple and in church, and heaven can be reinserted with another word. But it's not supposed to be. It's not supposed to be. And it's tough because we're dealing with people from a variety of different backgrounds. We're dealing with people from a variety of different experiences. But knowing that someone is going to keep the light on for you makes you want to get up and live again, which is why the greatest spiritual practice that you can ever do in your life is putting 2 feet on the ground. You don't even have to stand up. Jesus said it like this. He said that you are a city set on a hill that can't be hid. Well, who pays the light bill? Doesn't matter. God does it. So all you got to do is show up. People look around and say, where's God? Where's God in this? God is where you are. When you go there, if God isn't there, God will be with you. That's why Jesus told his disciples, he said, in places and in spaces where you're not received, shake the dust off your feet. You know why? It's okay. His disciples had another conversation with him. I hear of other people doing works in your name and other people working miracles and magic and they're teaching and healing people. They need to stop that. Jesus said, I have sheep of another fold that you know not of. In other words, there's enough room for everybody. There's enough room for you. There's enough room for me. And when you don't feel like you're worthy enough or when you have done what it takes, guess what? I'm here to remind you that you're already free. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, musicians, for more good news. So, it feels so good to already be free. Thank you, Reverend Jesse. And where am I here on this page? Remember that, all of this wonderfulness is brought to you by you. So there are receptacles in the back for your tithes and offerings. So let's affirm together as we hold our offerings in our hands and in our hearts. Our affirmation: divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. I give in love and I trust God, and so it is. So I think we're at that time when we're going to have an ending song. So you will get right back up there. And then we'll end with the prayer of protection.
So today being such a day of great news and good joy, everybody sing along. You know this one. Joy to the world, the Lord is come. Redeemer King, let every heart prepare Him room, and heaven and nature sing, and heaven and nature sing, and heaven and nature sing. Again, joy to the world, the Savior reigns. Let men their songs employ. Once fields and floods, once hills and plains, repeat the sounding joy, repeat the sounding joy, repeat the sounding joy. Amen.
Okay, let's end with our prayer of protection. The light of God surrounds us.
I am the light of God.
The love of God enfolds us.
I am the love of God.
The power of God protects us.
I am the power of God.
The presence of God watches over us.
I am the presence of God.
Wherever I am, God is.
Wherever I am, God is.
Wherever we are, God is. And all is well. So don't forget to place your offerings in the basket, and we'll see you here next Sunday for our Advent service and the Christmas party at 5 p.m.